Monsters University. Now, this movie serves as a prequel to 2001's Monsters Incorporated, and in terms of plot, it takes place 10 years prior to Monsters Incorporated, in which Mike is entering, voiced by Billy Crystal, is going into the Monsters University in order to learn how to scare. And at the same time, Sully, who is once again voiced by John Goodman, is also going to this university in order to do the same thing. And really, over the course of the movie, they're just trying to outdo each other at first, or to get into this scaring competition. And there's a number of storylines involving them trying to compete with other universities and joining fraternities, and there's even a small period of time where Mike and Sully have a bit of a rivalry. But it all comes together at the end when the two of them put aside their differences in order for a common good and end up becoming best friends by the end of the film. Now, I would just like to let you guys know this. I absolutely loved Monsters Incorporated when I was 11 years old. In fact, it still holds today as one of my all-time favorite Disney films of all time. But making a prequel to it really wasn't such a great idea, in my opinion, simply because it suffers all the problems that a prequel will have. As number one, you know how the story is going to end, and for this one in general, it really was going over a storyline that was never needed to be told. I don't need to see how Sully and Mike became friends. I don't need to know how they learned how to scare. I mean, they're monsters. Monsters, it's a common idea that monsters would instinctively know how to scare. It sounds like a bit of a ridiculous idea that monsters have to go to a school in order to learn how they scare. I mean, heck, I could scare somebody like this. Roar! I mean, how hard is it for any monster to do that? I mean, when you're this giant, big, blue dotted monster that pops into a child's room and they're like this small, I mean, just do a little yell and I'm sure you're going to scare them. So what technique could you possibly throw in? It's just the idea that's kind of ridiculous. It's like a serial killer having to go to a school in order to learn how to kill people. I mean, come on. Now, it's not to say this film is bad. It does have a number of warm moments, but it just doesn't quite have the heart that Monsters Incorporated had. In that movie, it was Mike and Sully were scaring kids in order for energy, so there was really a purpose for scaring. But when Boo comes to their world and they spend some time, they kind of start to realize that maybe it's not right to scare kids for energy. And by the end of the film, they end up growing to actually care and love Boo as a character, and they protect her and they get her home, and then they actually find a better solution to their energy crisis, and it ends up making them laugh. Monsters University, it has a dumbed down storyline. Not to say it's bad. I mean, it's certainly going to work with families and young kids, but for someone like me who actually saw the original and loved it because it had so much depth to it, it's just a little bit disappointing that they're going over a storyline that has less to it and goes for a number of cheap little, laugh tricks, and just fails to really make me care about the characters. Because I know what's going to happen. It's like, if Sully and Mike are starting to fight, we know this is all going to work out at the end because they're best friends in the originals. I think this would have worked better if they had done a sequel showing exactly what happens with Boo and how the energy crisis, is getting better, or maybe a new threat would have worked. I think making a sequel is always going to be better than making a prequel story. So, with that, I'm going to have to give Monsters University a B-. If you're a fan of the original, definitely go check it out to understand what I'm talking about. If you have little kids or nephews, they're certainly going to love it. But if you saw the first one as a kid like me, I really find it difficult that you would enjoy this as much as the original. But it does have its fun moments at times, so it's not a complete waste. If you like this movie review, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check me in my future movie reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.